All right, today we are adding and subtracting integers. Adding and subtracting integers. Before we go any further, we need to discuss what an integer is. Do you remember? I know you know where it goes on that Venn diagram because I graded those quizzes and everybody had that in the right spot. But can you give me a definition of what an integer is? David. They are on a number line, but there's other numbers that are not integers that you can put on number lines. How?
They're positive and negative numbers. And then zero and everything else. Without, it's just whole
That's
whole
it.
numbers that are just positive and negative.
Yeah, it's whole numbers, positive and negative. Okay? So we don't have any decimals, we don't have any fractions, positive and negative whole numbers. That's all it is. For whatever reason, integer seems to be the hardest one for us to remember. So, integers, positive and negative whole numbers. That's all they are. It's nothing tricky. Whole numbers. Okay, so some examples. We're talking -7, 3, 15. Would 0 be an integer? Yes, because it's a whole number. 0, -47. I don't know, 254. All of these numbers would be integers. Notice there's no decimals, no fractions. All right, so that's all we're doing. We're just going to be adding them together today, okay? So, basically there's 4 different scenarios. I could add 2 positives together. I could add 2 negatives together. I can add a bigger positive with a smaller negative, or a bigger negative with a smaller positive. Those are basically my 4 different combinations. What is the sign that comes out? It depends. Okay, so let's start with the ones that are always the same. If you add a positive with a positive, what's your answer always going to be? Positive. 2 plus 3 is always 5. You don't suddenly get a negative number. So that one's easy. So if you add a positive with a positive, you get a positive. So 3 plus 5 equals 8. Nothing tricky there. Positives and positives, you get positives. If you add together 2 negatives, adding together 2 negatives, I like to think about positive and negatives as points if I'm playing a game. Okay? So if I'm down by 3 points, and then I lose another 2 points, where am I? I'm down by 5. So a negative plus another negative just gets me another negative. So if you have the same sign, it stays the same, okay? So if you add a negative with a negative, you get a negative. It doesn't change. So, I forget what my example was. If I'm down by 3 points, and then I lose another 2 points, now I'm down by 5. And take a look at how I wrote this, okay? Down by 3, so I have a -3. And then I put parentheses around the -2, okay? Now, those parentheses, it's really just so that you don't put a plus and a minus right next to each other. Can you? You can. You'll see sometimes a worksheet will do it where they don't put parentheses around the negative number. It just, when we're writing it by hand, it just looks a little neater. I'm not going to, so in other words, if you wrote this, you're not wrong. It's just a little awkward to have the 2 symbols right next to each other. That's why sometimes when we write negatives, you almost write the negative sign a little bit higher. So like -3 plus -2. And then it's a little bit more clear that you're adding negative numbers. I don't know. So it's not wrong. You can use, I like to use parentheses around my negative numbers just so that I don't get things messed up. But you don't have to have it. So any which way you slice it, they're all -5. Okay? So as long as I have the same sign, you just add the numbers together and keep the sign, whether they're both positives or both negatives. Is this old news? You know this already? Okay. So what happens when I add a positive and a negative together? What's my answer? It depends. It depends on the two numbers that you're adding together. So those two are always the same. Two positives, it's always positive. Two negative, it's always negative. Now, it's situational when you're adding ones that are different. Okay? So, I'm actually going to draw a number line to help us see this. Let's say I wanted to, so here's 0. 1, 2, 3. -1, -2, -3. Let's say I wanted to add together, oh, I don't know, 2 plus -4. You can do it on a number line, right? I'm hoping that eventually you'll get to the point where you don't need to, but you always just start at 0. If I started at 0 and I go to 2, now I'm here. And now I just need to -4. So I need to go, I'm here now, I need to go all the way back 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So where do I end up? What's my answer? -2. So in this case, my answer is a negative. I think it's so much easier to just think about it as points. Imagine you're playing a game. I had 2 points, but then I lost 4 points. So aren't I now down by 2? Does that make sense? It's so easy to think about it with points, in my opinion. So try this one. What if I had, I don't know, let's say I had 7 points, but then I lost 9 points. Where do I end up? Yeah, -2. I had 7, I lost 9. What if I was down by 10, but then I scored 3 points? Now where am I? Pablo? -7. Are you guys really good at adding side numbers before I even said anything? You all know how to do it? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put 10 of them up. 10. And you know what? I think I'm just going to write 10 of them on the board. Miss Muska, would you come up with just 4 of them and put 4 on the back, adding any 2 integers together, and I'll put 6 of them up here. Oh, darn it. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, well. Whoopsie-doo. Okay, let's see.
Any 2 you mean with opposite signs? Sorry.
Same or opposite, whatever you like.
Okay.
Actually, will you do 5? Sorry.
5?
Yeah. I'm writing too big too. Okay. Shall I just choose you at random? Okay, you got it. So, the first one, Chris, could you do the first one? The second one, Caden. The third one, they're not here. Third one, Pablo. Well, if they're both negatives, right, which they are. You think it adds a value of the straight bars? So yeah, you're gonna add just -3, -4.
Miss Savia.
Yeah.
Do the fourth one.
If you get picked for it, sure. I'll have to see who gets it. The fourth one, Jed, sorry. Fifth, Anthony. Sixth, Lyric. Seventh, Hal. Eighth, Amber. Ninth, Ryan. And 10, Evan. Yay!
I don't even.
Yeah. Go super fast. You think you can do this quiz? Okay.
Oh no. Why would you?
Probably wrong. I'll make it bigger.
That was your first touch on it.
I don't remember. I don't remember who I asked to do number 5.
Jet, no.
Did you do one?
Wait, I don't know. You said somebody for 5, and then I got called for 6.
Someone want to do 5? Thanks. Okay,
Wait, you
so.
wanna do that?
Yeah, I actually know what I'm doing for once.
No, no. I'm saying you said just for next. I was like, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Alright guys, let's just see if these are correct. So, number 1. They're both negative, so you just add them together. -7 is perfect. Here, I had 9 points and then I lost 6. So where do I end up? +3. The other thing about this, right? Since we are looking at adding and subtracting, well, we will be doing subtracting in a minute. The sign on your number is really important. So normally, if we weren't, I don't know, like say in the last chapter, we weren't so focused on positive and negatives. If you had missed one and the answer was supposed to be 3, but you wrote -3, I would only take off 1 little point and it wouldn't be a big deal. This is the question though, so if you have a -3, it's completely wrong. So please make sure that you are paying attention. You can't just say, oops, I just forgot a negative, Those add up. If you keep forgetting negatives, you're not doing it right. We need to figure out why you're getting them wrong all the time. All right, 3. -5 and -5 is not 0, it's -10. So look at your papers. Make sure that you got a -10 for that one. 4, -10 plus 4. You were down by 10 points, then you got 4. Now you're only down by 6. So -6 is good. Here, oh, you're having a bad day. You're down by 16 and then you lose another 10. Now you're down by 26. Good. On the backboard, you're down by 3, you lose another 10. Now you're down by 13. 7. You had 15 points, but then I don't know what happened to you. You lost 24 points. Now you're down by 9. Excellent. 8. You were down by 12, but you got 15, so now you're at a +3. 9, down by 16, but you got 18, so now you're at a +2. And 10, you had 7, and then you lost 12. So, where would you be if you had 7 and you lost 12? Yeah, you want to make that one negative, right? You'd be in negative land, -5. So double check your answer with 10, make sure it's at -5. Okay, how did we do? okay-ish? Should we practice addition before we do subtraction?
Yes.
Or are you? We'll practice. Why not? We got time. So let me give you this. Yeah. How's my son? He's so good. He's wearing a dinosaur shirt today, so he was super excited. It had 4 dinosaurs on it. A T-Rex, a Triceratops, which he knows the names of all these, by the way. Oh, either a T-Rex or a Triceratops, I think. It also had a Stegosaurus and a Velociraptor. Yes. Actually, to be fair, he doesn't really know Velociraptor yet, but he knows his T-Rex and Triceratops. I actually just got such a cute video of him last night saying Stegosaurus.
You should show us.
Maybe. We'll
It's
see.
funny.
Stegosaurus. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at what I just gave you. This first puzzle here is actually super fast. You're just adding the numbers together. They have it on a number line already for you. So let me just erase this, and we'll just look at how to do these real quick. Yes. Well, we're gonna do subtraction in like 4 minutes. So if you wouldn't mind waiting until we do subtraction. Okay, guys, so if you look at the first one, they just want you to add these two numbers together. So you're always gonna start at 0. So you're adding -3 and -5. Where would you end up after you add -3 and -5 together? -8. So in the box at the bottom, you see a -8. That's how you know you got the answer right. We're going to put a U in that box. Yeah, that's all you got to do. So in E, look at how E, the one underneath, is a little bit different. Start at 0. You lost 2, but then you got 6. Where are you now? You lost 2, you got 6. +4. So in the box at the bottom with a 4, you put an E. Okay, so I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes to finish this one. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Starting now.
All right. Let us know if you get stuck, if you're not finding your answer at the bottom. If you get the answer to the riddle before everybody's finished, just keep it to yourself.
1 sec, I just need to break the letters.
Like this? Oh. Guess we don't need 5 minutes, do we? Well, we'll see. May I? How is the phosphorus?
Wait, I don't want to hear it. I'm not.
I'm not gonna say it. I would never. Oh. If you finish the first one, you could actually flip the page and start the puzzle on the second page if you want. finding your answers below, let us know so we can help you.
Okay, no, I just wanted that I ignore.
Let's sit over here, 8 o'clock. Just leave it as best they left us.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's right. Do you see the different words? No, you got it.
Didn't say that word.
Remember, if you finish the racehorse one, go right on to the next one. There'll be a rest that you have to do later. Okay? Thank you.
Does that come on worse?
No.
Why?
It used to.
What happened?
I think better just living on the.
You should totally change them back. Like said. Cause I mean, you should just replace that clock with that one.
Alexa, stop. Okay. Oh, for goodness sakes.
That's all.
Alexa, stop. Stop. I just got Alexa in my car. There's like a little thing. Yes, it just came out. You could. Yes, but I get to just say whatever I want her to do. Oh, would you stop? Oh, this one's feisty. It's so convenient. I just tell her, like, play this song, or let's play trivia, or whatever I want in the car. It's so convenient. No!
Can we do it if we finish some of this? I guess like,
Maybe.
it's such an awesome class.
Alright, guys. So, hopefully, everybody ended up finishing this first one. How is a fast race horse like a dessert? It's a sure bet. Instead of sherbet, sure bet. Right. They're not great, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so if you guys look at the one on the next page, we're not going to... Yeah, it's not bad. So these ones are... you are eventually going to have ones where there's 3 digits. So let's just look at number 11 real quick. So if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, you have options how you add numbers together. You can add the 2 negatives together, and then you can just go right to left if you want, or I guess left to right, whatever. You know what I mean? So what I like to do is I personally like to add all the positives together, and then I add all the negatives together, and then I just add the ones that are different one time. So if I was doing this one, I would say, oh, that's a negative 11 plus 3. So then I only have to do it the one time with the signs opposite. So what would negative 11 plus 3 get me? If I was down by 11 and I got 3, I'd be at, go ahead, negative 8. So if I'm looking at 12, you can just go down the line. Me personally, I see, oh, these 2 are both negative, so I'm going to add those 2 together. So that's a negative 5. A negative 5 and 9 leaves me at a positive 4. So I don't care in what order you add them. That's totally up to you, because there is that commutative property of addition. Chris, you are convincing me to change seats. I tell you what. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Anywho, 14, I noticed that they're all negative, so that one should be a little bit easier, right? You just add them all together and keep it negative. Ooh, looks like you have 4 digits at the end. So if we just jump to 30 real quick. If I were doing 30, I might add the positives together, get 26, add the negatives and get negative 10. And then I only have to deal with deciding what sign it is one time. So 26 and a negative 10 should leave me at a positive 16, wouldn't it? So, whenever it is that you end up getting to this puzzle, because we're not doing it right now, but you should be finding your answer. Oh, I didn't realize this was recording this whole time. Oops, I meant to shut it off. Anyway, so you have all your answers up here. If you don't get one of these answers, something's wrong. So you should always be getting one of these. So when I just did 30, I got my answer as positive 16. That means I'm going to put letter L in box number 30. And let's just backtrack a little. On 11, I got negative 8. Negative 8 is a T. So in box 11, I put a T. 12, I got positive 4, which is H. Okay, so when you eventually get to this puzzle, that's how you would do it. Okay.